Let's have a look at the grid lineup for the Chilled Perth 360 on the Fuso starting grid. Fourth pole position, and he's got 3 wins to his credit here. Jamie Whincup alongside Jason Bright. He's had 4 wins. Then it's Fabian Coulthard. He's been in Texas. He's alongside Craig Lowndes with 13 race wins. Best qualifying performance of the year, Alex Davison, and 4 race wins for Frosty Mark Winterbottom. Alex Premer continues his great run. Will Davison, the championship leader. Maro Engel, as Matty detailed a moment ago, the best for him and the best for Mercedes-Benz this year. And what about the debut performance for Chaz Mostert? That is a tremendous start to the top end of your professional career.
Best qualifier so far for James Moffat. He'll have Lee Holdsworth next to him. There's Davey Reynolds and James Courtney. So we know that James had some issues involving that contact with David Wall in qualifying. So he'll be mid-pack. Tony D'Alberto and Jono Webb. Garth Tander, this is his home race, remember. He's going to have to start from 19th. He was caught short. He had a clean sweep here, GT, back in 2007, and he rates it right up there with his Bathurst victory as well. So this is how much this circuit means to these kind of guys. Dean Fiore, the other West Australian driver in the field. Caruso and Tim Blanchard to start from the second last row. And the final row belongs to the Kelly boys, Rick and Todd, 27 and 28, for Jack Daniels Racing Nissan Motorsport. So 28 cars, of course. The return of Nissan back at the circuit for the first time in more than 2 decades. Mercedes has never raced at Barbagallo since the championship first came here in 1973. And this is the first time we'll see the 60-60 format at this venue, and only the second time in V8 Supercar history.
And very hard to get the cars off the line here. It's the lowest grip surface of the year. Neil said it earlier about the style of stone that's used and the binder that's used in the asphalt. No grip, so to get the car away, one of the hardest starts of the year and the shortest run from the start line to the first corner of anywhere we go.
Race director Tim Schenken in the background. Remember that Jason Bright delivered the very first ever championship win in the V8 Supercar Series to Brad Jones Racing not long ago. He's got great history here, so I think he's got a strong car. He's been consistent in his longer runs. There's the 2 Jack Daniels Nissans of both the Kelly brothers. They're further back than they'd like to be.
More often than not, especially at this circuit, success comes from the front row of the grid, but this is the first half of the 60-60 Super Sprint. Whincup to start on pole. Bright's been in terrific form.
He's got him.
Bright made an aggressive move early, but Jamie Whincup was all over it, and Craig Lowndes made benefit too. Oh, Lowndes out on the dirty stuff. Car Triple Eight just spins around turn 2, so Bright holds that second spot down, and it's battle already here between Alex Premer and Will Davison.
Amazing jump for Whincup, wasn't it? He had enough room to be able to climb back over to the ideal turning point into turn 1. He had car lengths. Quite a few of them that were out wide at turn 1 in that very slippery stuff out there. It's always tight here on the opening lap. You hold your breath at this location. There's a number of spots where we've seen aggravation over the years.
Off to the right there is where David Wall went off in qualifying. He ended up in the sand way down here to the bottom left of our screen. Super dive from Shane Van Gisbergen early. He gets up on the inside of the SP Tools Mercedes of Maro Engel, and Van Gisbergen will go up to 10th. They'll come into turn 1, 3 wide. James Moffat holding off Scott McLaughlin.
That was close. McLaughlin had the rear wheels locked. The car was sliding. They made slight contact, but a very, very good bit of driving for both guys to get away with that one. Look at the gap that Whincup's got. That's Bright, Lowndes, Coulthard. In behind him, the first of the forwards, Mark Winterbottom, Alex Davison, Alex Premer, Will Davison, Chaz Mostert, good start from 10th to 9th. Van Gisbergen is in 10th, and Engel has dropped 2 spots from 9th to 11th, the first Mercedes. Moffat, good start. We just saw him a second ago. He's in 12th from 13th position.
Russell Engel and David Wall together coming out of turn 6. Remember, there was some sort of aggravation in qualifying here. Oh, and a bit more again into the final corner. Just a glancing blow, and they settled back into line astern. It's all on down the front straight. McLaughlin diving. This is Moffat. Reynolds on the outside. Has the line up here. Van Gisbergen's in a Holden. Engel's in a Benz. McLaughlin is in a Holden. Moffat is in a Nissan. How's that for a mix-up of cars in that little bunch?
There's a change, obviously, there with McLaughlin getting by Moffat. We saw on the previous lap. A little bit of contact at turn 1. He had a dive at turn 7, got that job done now, so that's a good effort. Mostert putting pressure on the back of Will Davison, the series leader. So on debut, Mostert right up in behind Will Davison. We'll see them come out of the bowl. Just in the back of shot then. See Lowndes now putting pressure on Bright. He'll have a dive here. He's close enough. And down the inside he goes. Now watch for the crisscross. Bright needs to pull back to the inside. He's done that. Not quite effective. Can't quite get back to the inside, which means, oh! And that was, I think that was Garth Tander, straight off the road. He's got himself out. Good job to get through there. I don't know whether he was assisted or not, but that was a fast exit at turn 7.
Next drama for Garth is that ingests a heap of sand into the radiator intake, into the brake ducting on the car, so temperature management becomes a problem for him now too.
Look at that start. See how far ahead Whincup was. It was unbelievable. Neil made the point that he was able to drag himself back out even onto the racing line. He had so much gap. Lowndes was right out sideways, so was Dave Reynolds, and so was Lee Holdsworth. He lost a lot of positions. This is the contact now between David Wall and Russell Ingall.
And you reckon David Wall was having flashbacks to qualifying here, because contact further up the hill saw him go into the ditch here at high speed, 250 Ks. This time it was further down the hill, and Garth Tander's 200th championship start, this milestone start for him, is becoming a bit of a nightmare.
He was racing with Jonathan Webb, and Ingall now comes to the pit lane in the background of that shot in the Super Cheap entry. So McLaughlin now puts a move on Ingall. That's turn 1, positive and clean, and continues his march forward.
And aggressive too. It was aggressively clean.
Lowndes just on the fastest lap of the race on the previous lap, a 57.2. So he's making some ground on his teammate. He's 0.6 of a second behind Jamie Whincup.
So Russell's two at the paddock here. They're pulling gravel out of the front of it. They've taken a bit of blocker away from it as well. So something must have happened over the back of the circuit for him. Meantime, back at the lead. Margins narrow between Lowndes and his teammate Whincup. Alex Davison's having a bit of a look as well.
Chaz Mostert's holding on to the rear of Will Davison. That could have got ugly. Engel.
Watch for Davey up the inside of Engel here. And he's got it done. By the way, he's $1,500 lighter, David Reynolds, for speeding in the pit lane. And a problem for Will Davison, left rear.
Yep.
Is the drama.
Oh, my God.
I don't know, maybe left rear.
Yep. So
remember, Frosty had the problem in New Zealand with the tyres as well. So that's bad news for the series leader. He came in with a 31-point gap. We spoke to him in V8 Extra. Once you go into the pits here, you run a very high risk of being lapped. Someone else is throwing weeds up there. Jono Webb, the Darrell Lee entry. That's a great shot. Beautiful day here. It's a little southwesterly breeze blowing. It's great conditions, and at the moment, Whincup's got the lead. That actually illustrates the undulation on this racetrack. And it's not only the down and uphill into turn 7, but it's actually substantially downhill off the last corner as well as you come back onto the pit straight.
Turn 1 down here's a cracker as well. There's a big bump on approach, and look at that for our championship leader.
This is going to murder him. This will put him a lap down. By the time he gets in and gets that rectified.
It's cruel, isn't it?
So Lowndes and Whincup are going off together here. First and second. It's Whincup first, obviously, and then Bright and Coulthard are putting pressure on each other. So it's the two Red Bull Racing Australia Commodores versus the two Bradley Jones Racing Commodores. And Mark Winterbottom and Alex Davison tucked in behind them. Alex Premer is 7th. Chaz Mostert inside the top 10 on debut. Shane Van Gisbergen and Scott McLaughlin make up your 10.
Hopefully they can get this wheel on and off without having to do too much else to manage the problem here.
And just having a look there, boys, I mean, it's quite obvious, but very hard to tell when you look at a tyre. I'm just looking at the right side as well. I spoke to Grant McPherson, his engineer, said he had contact on the right side, but this could be a result. We're seeing a little bit of this. Guys using very, very low pressures to start races. Possibly something going on there.
It's been the rumour.
Aaron Noonan was just pointing out something to me in that scuffle there involving Will Davis. You remember Saturday last year when he We went ploughing into Garth Tander after Tander had been spun around, and it was over and out effectively on Saturday. Will was leading the championship that day as well. So history is repeating.
The other aspect of today is that in the previous 60-60 super sprint, if you're a lap behind, you're a lap behind for the whole race. What's going to happen today is Todd Kelly now down at Kolb Corner, turn 6, off the road, gets himself out. Normally you'd be gone then, so he's done a good job to get out. But what will happen today is in the half-time break, he will get his lap back. Murrow Engel now being absolutely tortured by Jonathan Webb. In fact, he's being pushed along there at the moment.
I've just been down here at HRT talking to Scotty Sinclair. Garth Tander got a helping hand off the road there at turn 7. It looks like it was Jonathan Webb from what they are reckoning. And I think Jono's got a fair bit of damage to the front of his car, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens after this one.
Yeah, good pick up, Murph. Neil, I think, said that there was a bit of dicing going on, and we didn't get the vision of the actual incident, but they went off pretty fast. So obviously now you can see the damage there on the front of the Darrell Lee Commodore, and there'll be a bit more to play out in the steward's room at the conclusion of this race. There's Todd Kelly in the pit after arrowing around the back of the sand pit at Kolb Corner. See all the debris coming out, and now Webb down the inside of Engel. Now Engel is now 15th, so he's come from 9th, he's gone backwards.
And you can see the damage on the front of Jonathan Webb's car that Greg Murphy was talking about, sort of a bit of a crease in the front right-hand corner there. So that's something they'll look at later. Apart from our 7 cameras in the cars, there's also V8 supercar cameras that are attached to the data that the vehicles produce, which means that the stewards and the investigating officer can look at all that information later. They can see pictures, data, speed, steering traces and everything they need to help them try and unravel incidents.
So the net result is that will be under investigation. The cars 2 and 19, and Garth Tander in car 2 down in 25th. But it's Whincup who leads the way by 0.3 of a second from his teammate Craig Lowndes.
Still tight in the front between Red Bull Racing Australia and Brad Jones Racing. You can see the field here funneling on through. From the leader back to Garth Tander in 25th is 20 seconds. And this is tight in the front. The reigning teams champion, the reigning drivers champion, and the man who was second last year, run 1-2 in the race at the moment. Brighton Coulthard, of course, they're the only guys who've won multiple races in this year's championship so far. We're on lap 11 of the first half of race 10. Remember, at the end of lap 25, we'll stop, we'll take half-time drinks, and the guys will get back out there and finish this thing off with the championship points awarded at the end of race 10 at the end of 50 laps. So no points at halfway, only half of the job's done. You need to push on. That's what Whincup's doing. But it's pretty close at the front. Nothing between these first 4 cars. VF Commodore, the new model this year in V8 Supercars Racing. Whincup 57.6, Lowndes 57.7, Bright 57.6, Coulthard 57.7. It's all a matter of hundredths of seconds. Engel slipping back. He's back to position 16 in the SP Tours Mercedes. He's been passed by his teammate Tim Slade. Best of the Nissans is James Moffat, 13th in the Norton 360 car, and that team have announced their endurance lineup since we last were with you in the V8 Supercars Championship. Daniel Gaunt and Taz Douglas from the Dunlop Series will join that team for Sandown, Bathurst and the Gold Coast, the Endurance Cup, with 3 events, 4 races across them later on in the year, but it's very much about sprint racing at the moment. Here is Murrow Engel, the German, in car number 9, 16th. Tony D'Alberto behind, then Dean Fiore, Lee Holdsworth and Scott Pye. That is the top 20 now. 26 cars on the lead lap. Todd Kelly 1 lap down in 27th. Will Davison a lap down in 28th. Those 2 drivers under the new 60-60 Super Sprint rules will get back onto the lead lap for the second half, so they are not done with. They will come back into the game, but if you are 2 laps or more behind, you don't get the laps back, so it's imperative that they keep on rolling around and stay 1 lap down, not 2. 12 gone in this first half. And the recent developments with the Erebus Mercedes, they've had this car at Morgan Park in Queensland to do more time with it and continue to develop it and move it forward. Sounds fantastic. It's so distinctive in its exhaust note compared to the other cars. it's been a massive engineering project for this whole team to morph from being a Ford team for so many years as Stone Brothers Racing, and an ownership change with Betty Clemenco in the off-season, and now running Mercedes-Benz AMGs. But it is holding stations at the front: Whincup, Lowndes, Bright, Coulthard. Winterbottom next from Alex Davis, and then Prema, the impressive Chaz Mostert, Van Gisbergen and McLaughlin. That's the top 10. Lap 14 in the first half of race 10.
Our 7 Sport Mega Wall showing you that there's never a dull moment at Barbagallo Raceway. And in pit lane, Mark Dutton and Adrian Burgess and Jeremy Moore are 3 happy men because their 2 drivers are 1 and 2 on track. Race control yet to be activated
The rear can come down 1 if need be.
in terms of safety cars, and we'll go on board with our race leader, Jamie Whincup. In his last 10 races at this circuit, he has been on the podium 9 times, 3 of those on the top step. But remember, we're only going for 1 target initially, 25 laps, and then it's a half-time break. Gives you a great view of this circuit from the driver's seat. He's put a bit of distance to his teammate too. It's now half a second behind his Craig Lowndes. That's awesome. Just hit 6th gear briefly. So it's Whincup, then Lowndes, Bright, Coulthard, Winterbottom, Alex Davis and Alex Prema, Chaz Mostert 8th, Shane Van Gisbergen, McLaughlin, Scott McLaughlin in 10th. And here's, Murrow Engel has just been under attack from everyone. And now it's Tony D'Alberto's turn. So Murrow slipped to 16th. After starting in 9th.
Tony D'Alberto went very close to getting a bit out of shape down there at turn 1. Then in that battle that he was having with Engel.
Just out of Kelly Racing, guys, and no real reason they can think of for that tyre on Todd Kelly's car. They are struggling a bit for pace. Rick Kelly's been told about the problem with Todd's car, and he's sort of relayed a little bit of concern about that happening. But their performance at the moment, not where they want to be, and sort of not really too many answers as to why.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it, to have the Kelly boys in the Jack Daniels car so far away from James Moffat. Moffat's 13th and doing a really good job. And these 2 guys struggling. You see also the line that they were using down at Kolb just then, Neil, was very wide entry and a very classic line. If you look at the guys at the front, they were doing the entry or approach in a totally different style. They were basically creeping the car up the corner and running the car in on the front wheel, making the first part of the corner quite fast. And you can see here there's lots of different lines. See the line there that Bright uses in comparison, and then the way they exit is also different. You see the narrowness of the line that Mark Winterbottom's using versus Coulthard. So there's a lot of different approaches, a lot of different techniques for Kolb Corner. Some people call it the bowl. It's the bottom edge of the circuit, and it's a very different style of corner, quite fast and very, very hard on tyres because you're in the corner for a long time.
Yeah, and Scapey, I think we need to make the point. It's very hard when you look at the vision of the cars from the outside to see that the drivers are really struggling to get on the throttle coming out of that corner. I've actually dragged some data out of a couple of cars. We'll show you in tomorrow's telecast just how hard it is to get your car to 100% throttle. It goes on for hundreds of metres. It's painful.
Yeah, no doubt. The grip level's so low, Larko, isn't it? And the corner is so long that it's, I don't know, it'd be 250 or 300 metres by the time you go from the apex of this corner down the bottom. We'll show you now. In fact, you'll hear the throttle when we're on board. We're right in front. We're on board with Mostert. Just have a listen. This is in front of Van Gisbergen. Just listen. Not full yet. Only now. So just before the gear change was that 100% throttle. And that would be, as I said, 250 kilometres, 250 metres, sorry, from the apex of turn 6.
How's this battle for Mostert? He jumps into the main series and it's straight into warfare. He's got his arms full at the moment with Shane van Gisbergen, who we know is a very hard racer, and right behind him is another newcomer who's making a big noise in the category as well, and that's Scotty McLaughlin. So this is straight to business. And you made the remark in V8 Extra earlier today, Scafey, about, you know, we've seen Chaz in the development series and the Dunlop series doing some things that have been impressive. I thought one of the distinctively impressive things that we did last year as we go on board with him was when we saw him run at Bathurst and we saw him run in the 7s. If you're doing a 2-minute 7 anything at Bathurst, you're on it. You can drive the car, and he's certainly demonstrating that here.
We got 3 of the youngest guys out there. Chaz is 21. Shane van Gisbergen will turn 24 next week, and Scotty McLaughlin, the youngest in the field, is just 19 years of age. So this is going to be interesting. Van Gisbergen will get this position. It'll put him up to 8th. Chaz is going to make him earn it, though, and Scott McLaughlin may sneak through as well. It does. So it's a 2-spot loss.
Yeah, hanging on there actually hurt him.
Keep it, Scotty. Let's just stay where we are.
That's exactly right. That's a bit of experience. Dave Reynolds is also going to go by because of that.
When the train gets you, if you hang on too long, which is what happened down at turn 7 there, that's been pretty costly. So it's gone bang, bang, bang down the order. But it's a valuable learning experience, and the level of intensity goes up another notch when you go into this series versus the Dunlop series. Still a very impressive debut.
Well, man wide there.
You'll have to find his rhythm again now, because it's also a bit mentally disturbing to suddenly find, you know, a heartbeat ago, less than 60 seconds ago, he's in front of this group. Now all of a sudden he's in their hot air, and you've got to gather yourself up, maybe make a little trim adjustment to the car and have a think about how you can just hold station.
And James Moffat also putting a lot of pressure on Mostert now, and a good dive, well done. Now he's got to try to do the crisscross, he's got to try to get back to the inside. He won't be able to do that, so he was a little bit wide. What Neil said was very, very true. You've got to decide at some point that you've got to put the white flag out and say, look, I can't do any better here. And he should have tried to tuck in behind Van Gisbergen and not fight for so long. So he lost 3 spots in one manoeuvre, and now another one to Moffat. So 4 positions in a lap and a half. And as Neil said, the intensity at this circuit, at this level, is extreme for young Chaz Mostert. Have a look at this pack. I wouldn't like to be in the middle of that one.
This has got a recipe for nastiness and ugliness, doesn't it? So you're looking from, say, Murrow Engel, who's in 16th.
He's just got the bad sportsmanship flag too, Murrow Engel. There's blocking. Yeah, there's been a little note go up on the timing. He's got a problem with the actual under tray at the back of the car. Looks like it's had a whack. The rear bumper's had a whack, and it's dislodged the diffuser on the car.
That's because half the field's run into it.
They've been Morse coding. I am here. I am here.
Well, remember Jonathan Webb was telegraphing that along the front straight.
Here goes Michael Caruso up the inside of David Wall.
And good, impressive engine power then, because he came up the inside of Wall, basically accelerated with him all the way over the hill.
D'Alberto wide, and so was David Wall. So that's a curb hop for them. They get a few lives with that manoeuvre, but they can't go on with it too much.
Good reflexes from the high flex car of Tony D'Alberto to get out of the way of Lee Holdsworth. And good, too, to see the Ecol racer of Scotty Pye back on track after missing New Zealand and that terrible accident down in Tasmania.
So back at the lead, Whincup's got a 1.6 second margin over Lowndes. He's been able to sneak away. Bright just a little bit in front of his teammate, and as you can see, Mark Winterbottom putting a lot of pressure now on Fabian Coulthard.
There was a phase about 10 laps ago where I thought, oh, I'm not sure that the Red Bull Holdens are actually going to skip away here, because it looked like both Fabian Coulthard and Jason Bright were gradually drawing them back in, but it's, if anything, in the last half dozen laps or so, it's kind of eased out the other way again. So Fabian's now the one under pressure, and this is a hard job for Mark Winterbottom, because it's already noted to be very difficult on brakes around here on a perfect lap, let alone when you're in behind another car. It bumps the brake temps up massively, and this is a place that really hurts brakes. It also makes it hard to sight where you want your car to be as well when you're jammed under the rear wing of the preceding car. So he's able to turn that car shallower at the moment, Mark Winterbottom, and that's putting him in good shape. He's got Alex Davison right behind him as well. So it's a question of how he applies the speed. He
probably should have had a dive then. He was close enough to get down there. And sometimes, even if you just get the nose down there, you've got the other car 1 car width wide. which always, on the exit of turn 6, means that you can't get on the throttle. So he should have put a little bit more pressure on Coulthard and ensured that he was a bit cheekier with the front of the Falcon.
Remember, we're approaching the halfway mark, which means a half-time break. So this 1.5 second lead that Jamie Whincup's got over Craig Lowndes doesn't mean anything in terms of time.
That's exactly right. And the great thing is, with a change of format with the Super Sprint, that the 3 guys that are 1 lap down, Russell Ingall, Todd Kelly and Will Davison, come into this race as the series leader, will get their lap back. So the next part of this race, the second half, they will be in contention again. Here we go. He's up there now. He's up far enough, I think. Oh, gee, you can just see then the engine power and the acceleration, and he's having a dive.
Oh, it's not over yet.
No, it's not. This is... I mean, I love this stuff because you know that when he has a final pitch at Fabian Coulthard, that Alex Davison is probably going to run with him when he does it. He might be up far enough this time. Good pass. Very good job. No, it's not done.
This is the final lap of the first half of the race. Imagine going back and explaining that when you're in the sand.
And he may live to regret it because he's going to be in P4 now at the restart. He'll be on the outside for the restart.
Yeah, there's an argument that says we raised this in Tasmania. If you're 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, what have you, maybe, look, I tell you what, after you, sir, I'll go the odds, please.
He's going to try to do the crisscross here. He's run in deep. He'll try to come off the corner narrow, so see how narrow he is. He may get up the inside of Bright. This is going to be a great last lap.
Bright, he really worked hard to cover him then, but the car was sliding as he was doing it. So Jason actually sacrificed the rear tyre a little bit, but he's been rounded up on the outside. Fabian's got a lock brake. Alex is looking up the inside. They make contact.
At half-time, Whincup leads from Lowndes. Winterbottom, Bright, Coulthard and Alex Davison. How they stayed on the track in that last lap, I'll never know. Alex Premer.
Oh, here we go.
This is contact.
Oh, man.
Wide.
That is massive. That's 250 kilometres an hour. We haven't seen where Scott Pye finishes. There were 3 cars alongside each other. That is playing for keeps. That is fast. So one of the Jack Daniels cars were caught in the middle of that. I think it was Rick Kelly. It was 15 and 2. So 2 teammates of yesteryear, Rick Kelly and Garth Tander, on either side of Scott Pye. And young Scott Pye, what an initiation to this category. Wow, that was fast.
That was wild.
He has Guy rated at 250 kilometres an hour. Here we go. So he's on the outside. He's run a little bit wide. Rick Kelly gets up the middle. Garth Tander pushes a little bit wide. They can't help but make contact at that point. And watch where this car goes. It runs over the infield and out of sight. Very lucky not to roll over. Look at that. That is 250 kilometres an hour. It's like Dukes of Hazzard stuff.
And airborne too.
How that thing didn't bite and flip is a modern miracle.
He had a huge crash at Tasmania, Scott Pye. He's going to get away with one there. So at half-time, this is your leaderboard. Whincup and Lowndes, the teammates. Alex Premer inside the top 10. His teammate Scott McLaughlin's there as well. A good run for David Reynolds too. He's pushed up 5 spots in the first half. Who knows what will unfold. They've only got a 15-minute break to sort everything out. Kelly, Todd that is, and Will Davison will be back on the lead lap when the second half gets underway and race 10 will be completed. What a wild ride in WA.
Same. You get too much one, then you lack 3. Does the track tripping up?
Jamie Whincup having a chat there with Mark Dutton, his race engineer. He's the race leader at half-time, and wow, Scott Pye is lucky. He missed the last round, remember, in New Zealand because of an accident at Simmons Plains in Tasmania. The Ecol Commodore, he's managed to limp it around and come back around and make it in. Left front tyres punctured. I reckon the heart rate's probably 250. That thing took off, and it was so lucky that it landed evenly and not unevenly and then pitched itself down the road. They've done plenty of work to repair this car. In fact, it went on the jig at Nissan Motorsport in Melbourne, the Kelly team, rather than send it back to Queensland, where, of course, it was built by 888. So the teams, of course, will have a common chassis underneath these cars. So that was what they were able to do. And then they gave it a run at Holden's Proving Ground at Lang Lang. Have a look at the rear there. The tyre half ripped off the wheel rim. Will Davison is last, but he's rolled around and done another lap when everyone else came back to the pits. That's to bring him up that one lap that he gets back under the 60-60 Super Sprint format. So now the cars are allowed to be grabbed by the crews and they'll wheel them into the garages for half-time. No different than the football team that has a chance to talk to their coaches and implement a new game plan and change the boots and have a drink. And that's the format. So 15 minutes, the clock started. And then we'll send them back out to recommence. And of course, we'll send them out in a double file restart format, which will be just the second time that that's ever been done. Look where some of the debris has ended up. The V8 Supercar officials, that's Alistair Walker, who looks after the recoveries of cars when they've been off the road, and he's collecting a few souvenirs that came off at high speed. You can see there that's the backing off one of the mirrors. I can see the Collingwood Football Club logo on it, which Lucas Dumbrell, team boss, is a big fan of. Let's listen to Craig Lowndes.
That's why when I went off 8 laps to go, whatever it is, but it just
Jeremy Moore, race engineer for Triple Eight, car Triple Eight that is, and their cars, Red Bull Racing Australia, will have two going into turn one side by side. Winterbottom will be third, Jason Bright fourth from Fabian Coulthard, Alex Davison, Alex Premer, Shane Van Gisbergen, Scott McLaughlin ninth, Reynolds 10th, James Moffat, great job, best of the Nissans 11th, Tim Slade, best of the Mercedes, he's 12th, James Courtney 13th, Jonathan Webb 14th, he's got two curb hops from turn 7. You get to 4 and you end up with a pit lane penalty, and of course that number doesn't reset. This is the same race, it is a half-time break. It's not a separate race, it's the same one restarting. Chaz Mostert was shuffled back, he's 15th. Fiore, Holdsworth, Caruso, D'Alberto and Engel is how they restart in the top 20. Walrick Kelly, Blanchard Tander, Engel Pye, Todd Kelly and Will Davison for half 2. That's the order.
This is one of the most out-of-control moments we've seen in a long time. 23-year-old South Australian Scotty Pye, the Ecole Commodore, is completely airborne at maximum speed up over the hill on the last lap of the first half. Watch this. The car takes off sideways in the air, whacks down. Tander and Rick Kelly escape the scene. And so too, thankfully, Scotty Pye, who is with Greg Murphy, and I reckon Murphy's still shaking.
Mate, I'm shaking. I can't believe. I'm just going to check his heart rate, if it's still going. Mate, that was an unbelievable shot of you leaving the ground again. It's a couple of big ones in a short period of time. Yeah. How you feeling after it?
Yeah, I mean, that one hurt a bit more than the head-on, actually. That was, when it hit the ground, it just was an instant stop, but absolutely gutted. We struggled quite bad with the tyres fading then. The rears were just going off. And, I thought I was clear on Rick. Not sure what happened, obviously not. And, I don't know. I think it was Garth that hit the door. And, yeah, the rest is history. But unfortunate, the car was okay. We struggled in qualifying and, that's what happens.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were coming out on the last lap, obviously, and there was 3 of you together, and Rick was in the middle, and it looked from the vision that you tried to obviously cover, but he was still in there, and Garth was on the inside, so just a misjudgment there.
Yeah, like you said, it was the last lap, and I was trying to cover. We were struggling enough as it was, and I just obviously didn't want to lose another 2 positions. I saw Garth, and I thought I was clear. Obviously not.
All right, good luck for the next one, mate. Stay out of trouble, please.
Go. Thanks.
Jamie Whincup, I was nearly going to say congratulations, but you actually haven't won the race yet, mate. We're only halfway there. Yeah. You like this format? Get out, have a bit of a think about it and go and attack again?
I'm not sure if I like it or not, but I was in a similar position at Tassie and got swamped on the second run. So the focus is making sure the car, we keep improving the car, and everyone gets an opportunity to make a change. So a bit like the oranges at half time, and we go again.
Isn't it? Yeah. It's a funny old thing, mate. I was watching your laps, mate. Seriously beautiful. They were very consistent. It's a shame from us watching on the television. It's very hard to see that every corner, every lap, every brake application, you're on the limit, but you can't see it.
Yeah, there are plenty of mistakes there as well, so I'm glad I disguised them. But no, obviously the FBR cars are very, very quick, so they're coming, so we're very aware of that.
All right, good luck. We're looking forward to this restart.
Okay, cheers, mate.
Yeah, Jamie Whincup, by finishing the first half first, will be in control of the double file restart. He will have his teammate alongside him. After the break, Neil and Scafie will have their half-time report.
And it would be a very brave punter to bet against Jamie Whincup, because his form here at Barbagallo has been simply outstanding. In fact, since the middle of the 2008 event here, he's not finished outside the top 4 in a race. It's quite phenomenal. In terms of pole positions, he's been racking them up too in our last couple of years here. Let's have a look again. Scott Pye on the outside, Rick Kelly on the inside. They all meet at the same point, and Scott Pye is the loser of this one. Sideways off the front of Garth Tander. That's okay. There's the link access road for the short track at Barbagallo. It's all downhill now. Watch how far this car goes. It's in midair. It's going, it's going, it's going. It's covered 15, 20, 25 metres. Airborne. Then it lands over the access road. Away it goes again. Finally, all 4 are on the ground, and it stops relatively quickly. Wow. Scott Pye, go and buy a lotto ticket, because you'd only need to buy one to win, because that was amazing. Head-on accident with a brake drama at Symmons Plains in Tasmania. Car rebuilt. Miss New Zealand, acted as a commentator for us, and now comes back to racing and ends up going for a wild ride. Had better memories here last year, won his first Dunlop Series race here for the 888 team, but that certainly is not the way that he wanted his V8 Supercars Championship debut to be. So the time is still ticking. The 15 minutes has now elapsed down to just over 8. Plenty of work going on. The odd dent being knocked out of cars, tyres being changed, fans in there to keep them cool while they're sitting in the sun on the concrete. A little bit of refuelling as well to make sure they've got enough for the next 25 laps in the second half of this 10th race of the championship. Great crowd in, plenty of passionate fans here in the West. We didn't race here a couple of years ago, but still many of the teams came to do ride days and sponsor commitments, and they were some of the biggest functions that we've seen in a long time. And this new pit facility has really stepped it up for Barbagallo Raceway. First used last year. A lot of investment from the government and a lot of hard work from the Western Australian Sporting Car Club, who look after this circuit and have done since it was first created. And there is the rubber pickup from the soft Dunlop tyre that gets caught in the front of the wheel arches and the like from the cars. That's Will Davis's car. Remember that he will start down the back, but at least he's in the game. He's on the lead lap because of the rule change for the 60-60 super sprint format. If we were in Tasmania a few weeks ago, he'd still be a lap down and pretty much his chances would be done, but he's still in the game and he could still work his way up through the order. Remember, 100 points for the race win. 2 more races tomorrow. The second half not too far away here at Barbagallo Raceway with Jamie Whincup to restart. Clock ticking. We're under 7 minutes to go in half time, and it will be Whincup and Lowndes who'll recommence soon.
The clock is officially counting down in this half-time break. 6.5 minutes to go before they head back out there in the 60-60 super sprint format. Another 25 laps to go. Our experts will run their eye over the first half. Boys, what did you think, Scafie and Neil Crompton?
Well, Matty, it was incredibly wild, and some of that stuff that was going on in the mid-pack, particularly at the back end of that race with the wild stuff over the top of the hill at 250 plus kilometres an hour into turn 7, Scafie. I would not want to be at 90 degrees to the road, sideways, in the air at that speed. Thank you very much.
Well, we spoke to both Garth Tander and Rick Kelly, who are the 2 guys involved with that. And Rick basically said that as they come out of the corner, Garth Tander got up the inside, and as he was right up alongside at that point, they made contact and had nowhere to go. Scott Pye off the road at 250 kilometres an hour. Now, this is an unbelievable start for Whincup. Look, he had so much gap that he was able to get right out on the race line. Now, look at Lowndes. He's got Gary Rush Speedway material going out here now, so he's gone to 3rd position. And then there was lots of biffing and barging. There was a little bit more contact between Russell Ingall and David Wall. David obviously was affected by that qualifying incident before. Lowndes, good pass on Jason Bright at the final corner. Tried to do the crisscross, couldn't get it quite done. There was a very healthy battle between the Red Bull cars and the BJR cars. That's Garth Tander going off the road. He got a little bit of assistance there from Jonathan Webb. There will be a bit more to play out with that. Murrow Engel, he was just being absolutely mauled by the field. This is Jonathan Webb behind. That was Todd Kelly. You just spoke to him.
Yeah, I spoke to him, and no explanation for it. Look at the amount of dirt. It's got kilos of sand there. It was the left front that let go on him on the run down into turn 6, so they changed that. Remember, he gets his lap back in the change of these rules in the 60-60 super sprint. Little biffo there, also down at turn 2. Now, I had a chat to Chaz Mostert as well. I said, what was all that like? Wow, it was pretty wild. But he ended up with bent steering, which was the reason why he started to struggle. And here's the thing that you just spoke about, Scapey. Oh, 3 into 1 doesn't go. And look at this, Scott Pye, airborne, 90 degrees to the direction of the road. How that thing didn't dig in and roll, as I said before, is something of a miracle. It was also a suspension problem, a damper problem for James Courtney. I had a quick word to him, and a puncture also for Russell Ingall. Remember, we saw Rusty go off and we thought, what's going on there? Did he drive himself off? No, he had a puncture as well. Larko, plenty going on.
Yeah, there is, mate. So Will Davo's car, Timmy Edwards has just told me that the rim actually had a dent in it. So low pressure, obviously, start of the race, whacked the curb, and that's what's created the puncture. Just quickly, what do they do in 15 minutes? I've just been observing everyone. There's been a few spring changes, but the first thing everyone did was empty and top up. You can see here the ice, the cold ice box for the cool suit for the drivers. Everyone's put fresh tyres on. Importantly, they had a very close look at the pressures at the end of that first stint so they could adjust the cold starting pressures on these tyres. Really, apart from that, they filled them up. You can see we've got no fuel rigs here as such. They've got a little pumping unit, so they've filled them up, and a fair bit of the time is actually just cleaning the cars, pulling the junk out of the radiator. And if we whiz around here, I don't know if I can just very quickly grab a word with Will Davo before he takes off. Hey, Will. Sorry, mate, I was going to try and... There you go. We talked about your puncher, mate, but a tough gig. You must like this idea of getting back on the lead lap.
Yeah, I've got the lucky dog, as they call it. Unfortunately, I've got to reuse a right front tyre that we used before, so it's done 25 laps, so it's not going to be ideal, but hopefully we can pick a few away. And just these sawtooth curbs with low tyre pressures, it's very easy to damage tyres, so pretty frustrating, but we've got another crack now, so let's go.
We'll watch with interest. Back to you, Matty.
Yeah, you might want to skedaddle quickly, Larko, because pit lane has just been open, pit lane exit, as you shut the door on Will Davison's car. No messing around for Whincup and Lowndes. Double file restart, side by side. They'll be flying after this.
A few teams that don't seem to be too keen to get back out there and get their cars on the road. Of course, they will restart in the order that they were running at the end of the first half. Everyone's back on the lead lap. Everyone's back in the game. But, of course, there's only another 25 laps between us now and the checkered flag and the race win in race 10 being determined. And what a shock. How many times do you see players and drivers with milestone matches and events that just don't go right? Garth Tander will start 24th on his home track, the winner here in 2007, the 8th man in series history to start 200 events, or rounds as we used to refer to them. In fact, many people up and down pit lane still refer to a race weekend as a round, so they're essentially the same thing, but it's a great marker of success and longevity to be able to count it up. It's his 450th race today and his 200th event, so really racking up the numbers. He's something of a category veteran now. He's been around a long time, since 1998. Chaz Mostert there restarting in the number 12 car. Remember, that's Dick Johnson Racing, but it's FPR assisted with FPR technical elements. And Adam DeBore is race engineer for Chaz Mostert from this weekend onwards. He's been essentially the customer liaison manager for FPR between that team and Dick Johnson Racing. He's a very experienced race engineer. He's own right with Tony D'Alberto and Lee Holdsworth and a range of drivers over the years. So cars rolling on out. There's Jason Bright. He'll restart 4th in the BOC Commodore. Some of the other cars have already got around and are lining up in their spots. The Petters STP safety car is ready and waiting as well. The cars will roll around. There's the AZ sign you see there. That's the acceleration zone. So that's when, for the Super Sprint restart, Whincup in between those two boards after the green flag, that's where he will stand on the throttle pedal.
Well, this was it, the moment that had us all holding our breath when Scott Pye gets turned around at the top of the hill. 250 Ks. This is almost 1.5 tonne of V8 supercar. Takes off sideways to the road and lands some 10 or 15. Who knows how far it travelled in the air. But as a result, Scott Pye will not be taking part in the second half of this race.
I was just with him. I just walked in to talk to him about it. In fact, Ludo from 888 was also there, and so was Frank Adamson as the category technical manager of V8 Supercar. And they were looking at the car, And what happened, Scott didn't know that Rick was up that far, and he didn't know that Garth was on the inside of Rick because he couldn't work out why Rick didn't move. But as it turned out, none of them moved. How's his form in 2 race meetings? Yeah. New Zealand was a skip, but Tassie and here, 2 of the biggest incidents we've seen. He's been part of both.
And he was in the air both times. All 4 off the floor.
Scafie, in all seriousness, before we leave the track this afternoon, you and I are going to go up to that spot and we're going to take a tape measure and we're going to measure the tyre marks in the sand and then see how far that car was in the air for. I think we're going to be a little surprised and we'll report back.
That was going fast, wasn't it?
I love this, Larko. It's like Saturday down at the shopping centre trying to find a car spot. So they're
not where Larko lives.
No. So the acceleration zone will be critical to this restart. What will happen is when the safety car peels off, the field will be in control of the leader. Therefore, Jamie Whincup will have to maintain 80 kilometres over the hill, 80 kilometres per hour. And then prior to being released in that acceleration zone, he'll have to back it down to between 50 and 60 Ks. And then once he gets to that acceleration zone that you see on the right-hand side of the circuit, the first one, he can put the foot down. And they can't put the foot down until he does.
That's right.
Hey, Larko, mate, I'm just thinking of that Scott Pye thing. It reminds me of a few years ago, mate, when you came out of pit lane on the warm-up lap and out of the second last corner and went a bit wide and rolled your car. Remember those days? Those were good. Those were good. Those were great days.
Where are you on the pit lane in a shady spot somewhere? I'll just come and find you, mate. You've got some problems with your audio. I can hear a lot of rubbish coming down the line.
You're not going to talk to us about that, buddy.
That was seriously embarrassing. No one's ever rolled on the warm-up lap, haven't they? That was,
you have.
A mechanical issue. It was a mechanical issue.
Yeah, sure it was.
Yeah. Was it hard to roll over on the warm-up lap? Murph thinks it's funny. He thinks it's great.
You can come back, Murph.
I might be forced to come back in a minute as we come back to the commentary box to get out away from Larko.
Hey, the classic is, guys, we said when Winterbottom got by Fabian Coulthard, that was going to put him into 4th position, and we said he was going to be on the outside for this restart. Critical pass was the last pass that he got done there on Jason Bright. So he's in 3rd. He's on the inside. He will make it hard for Craig Lowndes.
Absolutely. If he gets a reasonable jump, he'll make sure that he can insert that Falcon down the inside. Make life very difficult.
So the guys that are in danger territory at the restart are the guys that are in 2, 4 and 6. So Lowndes, Bright and Davison on the outside at turn 1. Very difficult under this restart format to get to the inside and cover yourself.
And with the tight turnaround with this half-time break, very little's been able to be done to cars. For example, Adam DeBore was talking to Chaz Mostert and said, you're going to have to live with the steering because there just isn't time to deal with it at the moment. So you've got to carry your wounds and deal the best out of that you can.
And as we said at the end of the first half, it's great that Will Davison, because under the previous scenario, Will Davison would have been gone a lap back and out of contention. So for the previous series leader, there he is. Although he's at the back of the grid, he's on a clean slate for the restart.
It's got a bit of weirdness in the left rear guard as well. It looked like it had taken a hit and was folded a bit awkwardly. Larko?
Oh, no, I was just getting excited down here about this restart. I mean, I just again reflect on that vision from Tasmania. I think these are great little moments in our sport because we're so used to behind the safety car restarts being in single file with cars travelling at a greater speed, bigger gaps. Now, when you watch these guys come up out of the bowl and over the hill and come back to 50 kilometres an hour, remember they're side by side. And as a consequence of them only doing 50, 55 kilometres an hour, they'll literally be rubbing front and rear bumper bars together. And as I said earlier, 18,200 horsepower unleashed in a 50-metre period. This is great. This is great.
And those that are in 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and you get the picture all the way back to 28, they'll find themselves on the outside at turn 1, off the racing line, in the dirt and the rubber.
Confirming safety car, you're running only at 100 on the straight, over.
And they'll be trying to manage their position relative to those around them because there's a car immediately in front, immediately to your right, immediately behind you when you're doing all this, when you're in that position. And you've got to be in the right gear to be able to launch and not fire off the road or make too much wheel spin. There's a lot to manage.
There is now. Just thinking this through, boys, you'll know what I'm talking about. We've seen it even in the first half of this race. As you go down into turn 1, if you can get up on the inside and get a little train going of 2 or 3 or 4 cars, you can all follow each other through. Now, under normal start circumstances, that doesn't necessarily happen. In this instance, there's going to be 2 distinct trains go down in there, so watch out at turn 1.
And unlike when we first did it at Tasmania, where there was a shorter chute along the main straight, there's a longer run up here.
Yes, that's true. So while you were sitting in the commentary box and Neil and I ran over into pit lane to check out what was going on, there was a lot of activity, wasn't there?
Concept is called work.
Yep.
And that's what we were doing, and we found out lots of things.
Yes, we did. What did you find out, Matt?
I found out that you guys draw a lot of heavy breaths when you come running over. You only covered 20 metres. Took you 2 ad breaks to recover.
It was animated over there. There was an enormous amount of work happening because, in fact, that little gap, the half-time break, has been tightened up ever so fractionally since we're in Tasmania. So you've got to make a lot of changes quickly. You've got to assess whether or not you want to fiddle with any damage repair. Look at this, the field now slowed right down, so they're falling into position.
Okay, lights out, safety car, lights out, accelerate away from the field. Pole car to maintain 55 or speed between 50 and 60. Pole car to maintain speed between 50 and 60.
Look at this.
Safety car, lights out, accelerating into pit lane.
What a sight. 27 V8 monsters coming over the hill.
It's got trouble written all over it.
Starts in your hand.
Certainly has. And I do not want to be on that outside row.
So Whincup here. We'll get to this acceleration zone. You'll see the orange boards on the right-hand side of the circuit.
Listen, you've got a car coming towards you. You have to manage that. You have to hold that car.
Here they come. So green flag. It's now in Whincup's hands. Now he puts the foot down. Off they all go. They spear off left and right. The 2 Red Bull Commodores into turn 1. Oh, somehow they didn't swap paint.
D'Alberto went very close to getting turned around there. He was getting a push and shove on the run to 1.
Bright got by Winterbottom. So Winterbottom didn't force the issue with Lowndes. I thought he was going to be more aggressive then. That's a big moment for Scott McLaughlin. He's pushed Van Gisbergen wide. Reynolds is down the inside and so is Moffat.
Look at the traffic jam as a result of it. Reynolds up the inside. He benefits from all of this. There'll be steering damage on McLaughlin's car, almost certainly on the front left corner.
And Van Gisbergen's definitely got a problem. And this is Lowndes now. He's very close to his teammate. I thought he was going to have a dive. Look at this up here. They're 3 abreast.
So James Moffat tucks in on the inside. So the first lap done. Oh, whoa! But the drama's not done.
It's a case of Braille at the back of the pack there to find your way back into a gap. But I'm staggered that they got through the first sequence of corners with relatively little drama.
Oh, Scotty Pye's rejoined. Fantastic to see.
Much safer where he is, actually. Away from all those guys.
The Commodore looks a bit second-hand, but he's out there. So, Whincup by 0.3 of a second over Lowndes. Then Jason Bright, Mark Winterbottom, Fabian Coulthard, Alex Davison. Then we've got Alex Premer, Davey Reynolds, Scott McLaughlin, James Moffat make up your top 10.
I think Garth Tander might want to return serve with Jonathan Webb. He's only 2 car positions up. Just have a look there. That's Tander with the damage on the left-hand front. There's Webb. So only Holdsworth and D'Alberto in between.
And we'll monitor the progress of Scott McLaughlin.
Yeah, got him.
Look at the change for the lead here as Lowndes goes up the inside. So Lowndes diving through. He's got good car pace. And how about Frosty? Put all that effort in that battle with Bright, the back half of the first portion of the race. And now he's got to go through that whole process again. It's the replay of the start. Let's listen.
Great jump, Jamie Whincup. Now this is the spot that I thought that Winterbottom would be more aggressive. They have a little bumping duel. Have a look, that's Bright on the left-hand side with the Northern Territory sign on the left-hand front guard. They get over the top of the hill, and he got away with that. Now this is the drama with Van Gisbergen. McLaughlin into the side of him. He's definitely got a problem in the way he goes backwards now. And they all attack him. 3 abreast going down into turn 6.
There's a chance to be steering damage on a bunch of cars there, including Van Gisbergen and McLaughlin on board here with Reynolds. Here it is again, watch this, the dive. So it started a bit earlier than we thought because of what we saw back at turn 4. And then Reynolds was the one that all of a sudden found himself in the fresh air down the inside, and behold, the world.
Look at it. Seriously. It's like dodging cars.
Scotty McLaughlin used hip and shoulders to get through there. So that was the move that Craig Lowndes put on his teammate to take out take the race lead. Mechanical flag for Scott Pye. Loose right-hand window.
Well, Fabian Coulthard very wide on the exit of turn 6, then in behind Mark Winterbottom. So Lowndes has got a decent gap here.
And we've made the point that Craig Lowndes has won more races at this circuit than any other 13 over the course of so many years. And he won his first 12 races straight here. This one, however, if he can hold on to it for the next 20 laps, will be absolutely enormous, because it will make him the all-time career race leader and break your record, Mark Skate.
Because it was so frantic down there at half-time, what I'm not 100% sure of was how people managed tyres. So, for example, did they slot 4 new ones on, or did they go half-half? How are they doing it? Because the way they manage tyres through the whole weekend, including tomorrow's 2 100k races, is going to be a big part of getting a result here this weekend. That could explain the discrepancy in speed between Lowndes and Whincup at the moment, because all of a sudden they've either made a change to Craig's car that's really smartened it up, or some other parameters changed, because they were pretty much tied together in the first half. They just look a little dissimilar in speed at the moment.
Yes, and the other thing that happened in the previous half of the race was that Lowndes looked pacey at the start, but Whincup got away at the end. He was 1.6 seconds in front at the end. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Whincup now, whether he can start to sneak back on Lowndes. Lowndes has a 1.15 second gap. You also said in the previous half of the race that the 2 BJR cars were very close to Red Bull, but as that turned out, they fell away. So let's see whether Bright can hang on to Whincup, and let's see whether Whincup can make some ground on Craig Lowndes. This is a great racetrack. It's hard to see the elevation change. This is down in the bottom of the bowl. This is called Kolb Corner, turn 6. And you hear the throttle. They're okay at the moment because the tyres are reasonably fresh. But in 10 laps or so, you won't be able to be as aggressive on the throttle on the exit. Coulthard now putting a fair bit of pressure on the back of Winterbottom. It's a good battle, that one.
On a dying tyre here, when you're near the end of their life at this racetrack, you would swear that you're driving on a wet road. It's that hard to manage sometimes. The braking distance elongates, you can't touch the throttle. You basically sit the car sideways, as now Rick Kelly gets up the inside of Garth Tander, Todd Kelly too.
Oh, that's a big moment.
It's a big tank slap.
He got hit. They made contact, so the 2 of them make contact in the little change of direction at turn 3, and that was a big moment for Todd Kelly. In fact, Garth Tander got out of the throttle, because if he stayed in the throttle, Todd was going in the fence on the left-hand side.
There may not be enough race tape left at HRT to keep patching it up. Look at the damage on the front of it. Now he gets back down the inside Tander, so he grabs the spot back at 6. Will Davison's in the argument here as well. There he is lurking in the Ford, the Pepsi Max colours on the inside of David Wall. Remember, he's recovering from drama in the first half.
Just talking to the HRT guys just before the race started about Garth Tander's car, and they think they didn't get a chance to repair it, but they think they're definitely steering damage after that coming together with Scott Pye. So could explain why he's going backwards a little bit at the moment.
Yeah, thanks, Murph. We said that there was so much activity, and a lot of the guys just had to live with the damage out of the first half of the race, and Garth will be one of those. I was a bit surprised with Todd Kelly then, because he made a good move when his brother got by Garth Tander, and then he ran too wide going down into Kolb, and he allowed Garth to get back up the inside. So it was a good pass and then gave it away. As we see Jason Bright almost down the inside of Jamie Whincup that time.
He was in the gutter. He actually had car number 8 in the gutter down there at turn 6. And he had to pull the nose out of it because the shallow turning didn't help him at all coming off the corner either. So if anything, he's a little bit under pressure at the moment now from Winterbottom. But he had a big lunge at him. So he's got a little bit of car speed at the moment. It's a question of whether or not he's able to use it.
Now, funnily enough, after that early contact we saw, neither Scotty McLaughlin nor Jono Webb have complained about bent steering, which is unusual because look at that beautiful vision. because drivers do complain if they can. And I just asked Ross Stone about Maro Engel, why he's going backwards in that AMG Merc. He said, well, school's out and he's getting served up a couple of lessons. That's how they do it here in Australia.
That's pretty right, isn't it?
He's probably been fast enough to be at the back of the top 10 because he qualified tonight, did a great job. But he's just been savaged, hasn't he? The back of the car's damaged, and you can see the amount of bodywork and contact that's been made with the back of the AMG E63, but still, good pace. Holdsworth is 17th and Slade is 14th. So the lead, Mercedes in 14th position, and the lead, Nissan, in 10th position, James Moffat. There he is right there, that's Caruso, 13th. Well, here we go.
It's Will, and he's got a bit locked up having a look at Todd Kelly. So that's 21st and 22nd as we held off to show the field for you there.
10 seconds, Crompo separates the top 17 cars. Man, that was a moment when we saw that on replay for Todd Kelly. All crossed up.
And it's very quick there. A particular part of the racetrack, that the car's very delicately poised in that particular spot. It's up around 185 kilometres an hour.
Just in the Norton 360 pit of James Moffat, and they were really happy with where he's going at the moment. He's really trying to look after this car as much as he can, hoping that later in the race, the work that he's doing now is going to benefit them when those guys in front of him start to come back a little bit. So he's sort of looking after his car, and you can see his pace looks fantastic at the moment. He's really driving beautifully, as we saw him do at Pukekohe. So we'll wait and see if that little strategy works for him.
Yeah, it's good to see Murphy and a couple of those other manufacturers moving forward. Just going back to that comment about Mario Engel, to give it some context, he's in 27th, and when you do get belted around in this field, you know, you pop out any other category in the world, you're out of the top 6, you're back and you're going forward again. But have a look here. I mean, go down through the field. Where do you want to be? 12th, 16th, 23rd? Doesn't matter where you are. You've got bucket loads of talent around you ready to dish it up to you.
Yeah, they're kind of like piranhas when they get a sniff. I mean, look at what happened to Chaz Mostert too. He effectively didn't do much wrong, but once they see you gap those guys behind you, and when they've been around for a while, they pounce.
The intensity just comes up, Matt. I mean, for Chaz and for Scott Pye, those young guys, even Scott McLaughlin, as soon as you get into the pack, the intensity is up. So that's now a change. Winterbottom by Fabian Coulthard. Good job. He'll go and put pressure on Jason Bright. You can see that Lowndes now has got away a little bit further. Is 1.15 seconds, we said before, is 1.7 seconds now.
And being in the queue, whenever you're the guy behind, you know, in this case Jason Bright or Frosty, behind others, the temp increase in water temp for the engine and brake temperature is also extreme. So it's something that they've got to be a little bit mindful of here. Now, by the way, James Moffat 10th, his best in the season so far is 9th, so he's right up there on the edge of a season best performance. We'll stay with the cars here, crank up the audio and enjoy Barbagallo Raceway.
View there too of the two distinctly different approaches down to turn 6 between Whincup, who you're riding with, looking out the rear of the Red Bull Racing Australia Commodore, to Jason Bright, Team BOC. And it's something that we were talking about, Scafey, when we were looking ahead to Austin, Texas and the Circuit of the Americas. The rise and fall, the change in elevation, it's all here on display, and the sparks fly out of the rear of, or under, car 360 of James Moffat as he saddles the curb on the approach to the front straight.
That's Will on the march there as well. A little bit of aggro down at turn 1, so Garth and Will Davison just having a little touch-up. The sparks that flew beneath the Norton 360 Nissan car there of Moffat's before were pretty extreme. So that was interesting just to quietly observe this little intense battle going on between Whincup and Bright at the moment. As you said, Matt, several different lines being adopted by both drivers here. Both cars, both Holden Commodores, have got their own little strengths and weaknesses that the drivers are trying to exploit. And Winterbottom's not far behind here either. But Lowndes checking out. He's still got that 1.6 second margin. He's holding it there at the moment. Also a new deal this weekend for the Team BOC car and Brad Jones Racing with backing from Tourism Northern Territory. And we're looking forward to our annual trip, the Sky City Triple Crown up in Darwin, getting up to the Sunshine, the Crocs and the Barramundi. Apparently there's Barramundi there, but I've only even found it in a fish shop.
Yeah, yours has got paper on it. That's right, with chips.
You're taking your binoculars again? Check out, go bird watching?
Might. Great super slow-mo replay of Will Davis and turn 2 and 3. Settle down.
He gets all natural on us in Darwin, doesn't he? That's right.
24-hour greenie.
Good run here from David Reynolds. He's made up 7 spots from the start. He had a pretty slow start to the season, but it went okay in Barbagallo, where he featured in the top 10 pretty much all the way. So it's good to have him back at the pointy end of racing for the Bottle O Ford. Shane Van Gisbergen just goes flying past Scott McLaughlin like he was standing still down there.
And I think both those guys are just carrying a couple of car injuries as Jonathan Webb runs wide down at turn 7. There's Courtney on the inside of David Reynolds. Webb's got 3 strikes against his name at turn 7 now. He can't get too more adventurous than that or he'll get a flag. So on board here with Reynolds. And Courtney, as I said in the little break at half-time, thinks that they had a shock absorber or damper failure on that car in the first half of the race. He said he was really struggling and the handling of it was unpredictable. And sometimes that can happen as a result of the push and shove in the early laps. Or if you happen to catch a curb the wrong way.
I was just going to make reference to this fact that we can now see the gap is growing out the front. It's 2 seconds. Whoa! Into the sand.
Coulthard. That's a big mistake.
That's costly. So he was 5th. And he's going to pop out perhaps as far back as 15th or worse.
He's struggled there all weekend, hasn't he? The car's been bad.
He's come back in 17th. There's a bit more pain to come, I think, too. Yep. He's turned the Lockwood Commodore into a bit of a dozer.
So Jonathan Webb has now been issued the bad sportsmanship flag for overusing the curb at turn 7. It's in car number 19. Meantime, back this battle for 2nd and 3rd at the moment. Bright's got pace. What does he do about it? He's got a good run this time. He's tucked up under the rear wing of Whincup. He'll have a think about a jump to the right. And there's dirt offline down into turn 1, remember. Oh, another one off this time. And it's Rick Kelly. And he's bulldozing at turn 6. That's exactly where his brother was before. And the front left tyres come off Fabian's car. It's erupted all of a sudden.
And it's fucking blue.
So it's getting to that stage, inside 10 laps to go. The last thing that Craig Lowndes wants to see is a safety car. It'll compress the field. So that's Fabian Coulthard off down at turn 7.
Mate, that may be now the same tyre issue that Rick Kelly's had. Left-hand front tyre. That may have already happened to Fabian to put him off the road at that spot. And this is definitely a left-hand front tyre failure now. He put a wheel off at the top of the hill and it's damaged the wheel at that stage. So that's punctured that tyre. Rick Kelly off the road. You can see a long way down, as we saw his brother, with the same problem, same issue in the previous half of the race.
It kind of suggests that one of the curbs around here, perhaps that one on the exit of turn 5, is grabbing the tyre awkwardly. Remember the difference between the 17 and the 18-inch rim and the Dunlop control tyre we've had, it's lost 12 millimetres of sidewall. Remember that the tyre is part of the suspension of the car, so the gap between the tread face of the tyre and crushing down to the rim has been reduced. 12 mils a lot in the aspect ratio of that tyre. So they may be just getting a pinch on the curbs is
what you're trying to explain. Yeah. Is that what you're trying to explain? I'm trying to.
So there's Alex Bremer in 6th with James Courtney and David Reynolds. And then James Moffat, who's leading the way for the Nissan Altimas. But they're coming to get Lowndes a bit at the front here. Whincup and Bright are working together, if you like, pace-wise, to put a dent into Lowndes' lead. It's under 1.5 seconds. 6 laps to go. Alex Davison, top 5. Great effort from the Gelbwin Falcon pilot. It's now 1.4 seconds at the front. There's a lot of sand and dust and debris and rubber on the dirty line of the circuit. Moffat looks as though he's still got something left to have a crack if he wants at Shane van Gisbergen. There's lots of little subplots here, Crompo. Winterbottom's desperately trying to round up Jason Bright and get on that podium.
This is carbon copy of the first half, the back end of the first half. Good exit here for Winterbottom. And again, Bright did everything he could to try and close the gap, but that meant the rear of the car was sliding as he was doing that. Now Frosty looks down the inside at 7. Not quite far enough up, and Jason leaves space for him, but that forces him wide. He then moves to try and cover, but Mark Winterbottom's going to get him down here.
Frosty almost had to think twice about it down at turn 7. So that puts Winterbottom into 3rd. So now, has he got something left to try and chase down Whincup, who's not too far further up the road? Lowndes is holding fire, 1.5 seconds over his teammate. This could be the day that Craig Lowndes eclipses Mark Skaife's all-time career race-winning record. They're both locked at 90 wins apiece. Remember, Craig Lowndes started this season with victory on the streets of Adelaide. He loves this circuit. He took advantage of his teammate opening the door
Nice and smooth, keep the brakes up.
after the second half got underway, and now there's only 4 laps to go between Craig Lowndes, this circuit, and a place in the history books.
So he's holding the margin at the moment. Lowndes at 58.2 on the last lap. His teammate Whincup at 58.1. Winterbottom's 58.2. Bright 59.1, but remember that's because he was in that battle on that last lap. So they're in the phase of the race now where the tyre performance is really beginning to taper, and this will be a milestone moment for Craig Lowndes career-wise. He's going to crack 500 races in the 2013 Championship. He's had an extraordinary record here as the boys have detailed, particularly in the early phase of his career. Came into the weekend with 13 race wins. Looks like he's on target to add another one of those at the moment. 1.47 seconds on the last lap. Lowndes over Whincup.
Well, it's a remarkable Crompo. He, of course, debuted, had his first run here in 1996. He didn't run in 1997, of course, but he won every race in 96, 98, 99 and 2000. They were sick of him by the time we got into 2001. And then his last race win on this circuit came in 2009.
Now Moffat's under threat there as well at the moment from Michael Caruso. They're having a good battle in 10th and 11th. Meantime, Davison continues to reel back, get some points here. He's 17th. That's important for his championship battle. He's come into the round with a 31-point buffer, and Coulthard, meantime, is just soldiering around at the back of the pack in 28th at the moment after wandering wide down there at turn 7, the drama.
And look at the turnaround in the championship point score. Provisionally, Jamie Whincup gets the championship lead back by almost the same margin that his mate Will Davison had led it by going into this race.
1.9 to come behind, nice and smooth.
And it seems as though Chaz Mostert's going to open his championship career in a very solid position. He's 14th at the moment, probably likely to hang on to it. And if you're halfway up the field in your first effort, probably carrying a little bit of steering damage from what happened in the first half of the race, that's a proud achievement. And also very important for Dick Johnson Racing and Wilson Security as well. Those guys have been on the ropes a bit at the start of the year. It's a nice little bit of sugar for them, a bit of payback. I'm sure there's some assistance also from Ford Performance Racing because Chaz, I should say, is part of their program. So that's terrific to see.
So Winterbottom has been fast to last 2 times around versus Whincup. The next lap Will be one to savour, though, for Craig Lowndes. So there's only another 2.42 kilometres to go.
Last lap from behind.
And Jeremy Moore is willing on Lowndes. Mark Dutton will be riding Whincup hard because Jamie will want to be standing next to his mate on the podium, but Mark Winterbottom's having a crack.
It's on. He's got good car pace at the moment. And Jamie's really just hanging on here at the moment. And we've detailed the rivalry between these two. They've had some intense battles over a long period of time and it erupted in New Zealand. So there's just 2 corners remaining. Low fuel warning for Maro Engel at the moment. Just heard him on the radio. 1 corner remaining now. The exit out of here is critical for Frosty. If he can get up the inside and get an extra kilometre an hour or 2, he can dive down the inside, but Whincup would cover if he was ultra close, but it's all about Craig Lowndes.
And this is one for the record books. The People's Champion today becomes the all-time race winner.
Hey, JJ, you need these tyres?
Craig Lowndes, 91 career victories.
You need these tyres?
A 1-2 for Red Bull Racing Australia. Winterbottom third.
But we need the engine, mate. So, yeah, nice and easy.
And that's code for control yourself, Craig. Debuted back in 1996 when the kid took this category by storm. 3 times he's won the championship. 5 times he's won the Bathurst 1000. He's a multiple Barry Sheen medalist. The crowds love him.
Okay, thank you very much.
His talent is supreme. And now he sits at the top of the list. And breaks Mark Scaife's all-time record. So that's your podium. Lowndes, Whincup and Winterbottom. It's the 2nd race victory for Craig Lowndes in 2013. Yet another podium finish for Jamie Whincup here at Barbagallo Raceway. Congratulations to James Moffat inside the top 10. Likewise for Chaz Mostert on debut, top 15. Terrific effort. Russell Ingall in 23rd. Maro Engel started so well in qualifying with Rick Kelly, Fabian Coulthard and Scott Pye. The casualties. Scott Pye surviving an enormous crash just before the half-time break. So we've thrown all sorts of formats at him in this long and stellar career. And now at age 38, number 1 is very apt for Craig Lowndes. Mark Scaife has left the commentary box to go down there and witness this special event. They're mates. Remember, they've won Bathurst together.
Hold on, mate.
Yeah, bloody great job, mate. Really deserve it. Really good.
Yeah.
Excellent job, mate. Excellent job. Really good. Thank you.
From one champion to another. That's a great moment.
Really good.
Roland Dane. Adrian Burgess. And the crew are soaking this up. There's Mark Dutton, Jamie Whincup's engineer. Jeremy Moore has already been there to celebrate with Craig. 14 race wins at this circuit.
It's amazing, isn't it? Extraordinary performance. Emotional moment for him, a very special moment. He asked for permission to torch these tyres, and Jeremy Moore quickly pointed out they need the engine. In fact, at that stage, he was trying to shake hands with Roland and talk to his driver and manage all that, but Craig's celebrating in fine style here. It's a beautiful job and very impressive performance. He just grabbed that spot very early in the race and then just controlled the margin.
We remember he had no luck in the first 60-60 race at Tasmania, and since then the rule change would have allowed him to be back on the lead lap in the second half. So this may be a format that suits Craig Lowndes.
Oh, well. Hey, guys, I really didn't expect you'd be so thrilled as you clearly are. You are the man, mate. 91 career victories. How happy are you?
Oh, it's like getting your first one all over again. It's trying to get that monkey off your back. It's sort of been talked about, obviously, since Clipsal, and to finally do it now here. Look, this place I've had such a great affiliation with, we had such a great record with, and it's fantastic to be able to do what I did to Scafie, obviously many years ago, be able to come down and congratulate us. But, great obviously for the guys, for Jamie and to Frosty. It's obviously been a great battle.
That's unselfish, mate. This is about you at the moment. Let's just talk about the race. I mean, we say this a lot. This isn't like football, this game, because it is very mechanical and the driver doesn't play the whole role. But clearly you dug deep there. You made a conscious decision. I could see that you had to get it done early. Jamie's not an easy guy to get past. You had to do it while you had tyre performance early in the race, and whack, you did it.
Well, yeah, look, it was one of those things, I think, even in part A of that, when we were chasing Jason Bright, it's, evident our cars were good at the beginning. And then actually we've done a lot of work since New Zealand, and they're hanging onto their tyres, which is what we had in the past and what we're getting back with us. So, it was something that Jamie made a little mistake coming onto the straight, allowed me to get the run down here into turn one. But, look, it's one of those races. Then it was one of those things, those noises and bumps and cracks that you hear, and you're like, oh, I hope it lasts. But, yeah, look, I just got to say hello to Levi and Chile. Look, it's been fantastic. What a day.
Fantastic, mate. Very, 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 very proud of you. We'll find Jamie Whincup. Hey, Jamie, just saying, the body language of his car early in that race was quite clear. He was going to get the job done early, and he had to get it done on you. Did it catch you by surprise? Certainly caught me out.
No, Craig did a great job. He had very, very good speed, and I'm wrapped for him. I think, what is that? It's most wins. Is that right?
It is, mate. Yeah, he's the best ever.
He's the best ever. So no, it's congratulations to him. We detuned the car a little bit, but we'll come back tomorrow.
And, mate, I just want to talk about those last couple of laps. We all watched and held our breaths as this fella over here, we'll talk to in a minute, snuck up on the back of you, and we thought could be game on again here. But have you sorted out?
No. As I say, it started and finished in New Zealand for me. So, no, I just played a straight bat, drove down the outside, and if you want to have a lunge, you could have had an opportunity.
Well, it's hard though, isn't it? We spoke at half-time, so to speak, again, just watching, you and Craig were trading split times. It was a tenth to him, a tenth of a second back to you, a tenth back to him, back to you. Again, it's just so hard, isn't it, to show us how on the edge these cars are, and how I can see you're tired, mate. You're not a guy that gets knocked up easy.
Yeah, you push pretty hard and the tyres overheat, and then you slow down for a bit. So you're just trying to manage that grip level, and as you say, it doesn't convert over to television, but it's all going inside the cabin.
All right, good luck tomorrow, mate. Hey, Mark Winterbottom, congratulations, mate. Great comeback. In fact, most of that race we weren't taking much notice of you, and you obviously managed your tyres, and we talk a lot about it strategically, and you left it till the end there, and whack, you were there in the game.
Yeah, it's time management for sure, but it's hard to pass guys when they're on good rubber. You got to wait till they degrade a bit, and I thought in the first race Brighties obviously went off, so if I could just hang in there and do all the little bits that I could do to save the tyre, I could get him, but I just ran out of laps. I thought I could get the next bloke, which was Whincup, and then who knows what Lowndes was doing, because he went quite hard early in the race. So, but it's a good result. Good to get third. Good to finish a race and get some points.
Well, it was interesting just talking to Jamie Whincup about your rivalry. He said, mate, it's not over. He said he doesn't like you at all. In fact, he wants to have you off tomorrow, he said. Can you hear him?
Yeah, good luck with that. But no, it was good. I tried to get him at the end and tried the old nose trick, because I thought he might think I was going to lunge, which he did, and he went all wide, and I almost crossed him. If we were at the old start-finish line, I would have got him. So just got to keep mixing this up, and on your day, if it works, you look like a hero, and when it doesn't, you don't look like a hero. So we'll see how we go.
And you like this format, Frosty? It's very much like football. Everyone stops at half-time, has a little drink, has a cool down, has a bit of a think about how you're going to go about the second half. Enjoy that?
To be honest, it's on a driver, it's very hard, so drivers want it easy, but from a spectacle, it's fantastic. That eerie feeling when you come up with that NASCAR-style restart, tyres degrading, no chance to change your setup, but you've got an idea of what the car's going to do, so really hard on the driver. So I think it's good for the sport and good spectacle. People are waving flags and standing up and cheering, and that's what it's about.
Well, you must be fit, mate, because you look great, although Jamie Whincup just said your fashion sense is terrible, so pick up on that tomorrow, eh?
I wear a race suit. He wore a Ford one day too, so he likes it. Thanks, mate.
Well, I'm here with the rookie, Chaz Mossett. We just spoke to three blokes that are used to being at the front of the field, but here, I think it's the year of the rookies. This bloke, we've had Scott McLaughlin win a race this year. What a great start, mate, honestly. There was a tough day out there. The two really, really tough races, but you qualified great. You must have been stoked with that.
Yeah, for sure. The car's been brilliant from qualifying. Probably, I was hurting the tyres a bit too much in that race, I think, and towards about the last 5 laps, I was starting to drop a couple of positions, but other than that, held, not too bad pace, and looking forward to tomorrow.
The fitness, mate, obviously used to a shorter races and development series the first time you had to jump in there, and, just listening to what Frosty was saying and Jamie, the tough races, how are you finding that?
I don't feel too bad. It's just, you're in that one position for such a long time. So, it's going to be a bit different, I guess, when you get to Bathurst. So, better toughen up a bit and get on with it.
Yeah, you'll harden up all right, mate. Good job. Well done.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Top 15 on debut for Chaz Mostert. So the championship now has changed. Will Davison 19 points adrift after coming into this race 31 points ahead of Jamie Whincup. Craig Lowndes starts to put a lot of points in the bank, and he's now third on the list. Mark Winterbottom is ninth. So time now for the podium with Aaron Noonan.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the podium for race 10 of the 2013 V8 Supercars Championship. The winner of race 10 for Red Bull Racing Australia, Craig Lowndes. In second place for Red Bull Racing Australia, Jamie Whincup. In third place for the Pepsi Max crew and Ford Performance Racing, Mark Winterbottom. And representing the winning team, Red Bull Racing Australia, Roland Dane. To present the trophy to third place, John Clark, General Manager of the Western Australian Sporting Car Club. To present the second place trophy, Graham Brimage, Director for the Department of Sport and Recreation. To present to the winning team, Claire Spalding, Marketing Manager of our sponsor, Brown's Chill. And to present the trophy to our race winner today, Ben Purcell, Managing Director for Brown's Chill. Ladies and gentlemen, there it is, your podium at the V8 Supercars Chill Perth 360 and race 10 2013.
Well done, Noons, and this will be one to savour for Craig Lowndes. And why did we know that was going to happen? Why did we know?